Welcome back, guys. Today we're gonna give you guys an overview on how to close distance. Closing distance is very essential to combat sports because whoever manages the distance is usually the person that really controls the fight. The first way you guys can close distance is actually using head movement and slipping. If you guys really look at Mike Tyson's style, his peekaboo style, his defense actually set up his offense. And as you guys know, Mike Tyson wasn't a really big heavyweight. Usually the opponents he was facing were much larger and they had a longer reach. His defense actually created his offense, and he was able to pretty much finish a lot of his opponents.
Second way to close the distance was cutting off the ring or the cage or whatever space you're in. In a fight, you don't want to chase your opponent. You don't want to run after him, especially someone that's a lot faster than you is going to create angles and just counterpunch you all day. So what you want to do is that you kind of want to stalk him in the right way. For example, Robert Whittaker and Derek Brunson. We saw Derek Brunson who got overexcited and started chasing after him. Instead of cutting off the cage, he kind of ran towards him directly, and we saw him get counterpunched and get knocked out. Another example was Verdum and Stipe Miocic. Yeah, we saw another knockout because Verdum got too overanxious and started running after him. Instead of cutting off the cage again, he ran straight towards him. And he was chasing him like literally he was running towards him, and then boom, we saw him get knocked out cold.
The third way is by creating a different angle. Pivots in general and side steps, they all create a new angle, and a lot of these side steps also close the distance. For example, like a lot of southpaws, they actually like to use step throughs. The southpaws that actually use these step throughs, they are able to close in the distance and land their straight left down the middle. They step through and they pivot, and it's an establishment of a new angle.
The fourth way is by masking your takedowns, your leg kicks, where combination with your hands. Like Holly Holm did this perfectly. Oh, she did this. I don't know perfectly, but she did this during her last fight. She would throw the 1-2 and then finish it off with the leg kick. So Jermaine Durandame, she was focused on the combos up here, and so she was covering up. And at the same time, we saw Holly Holm attempt the takedown. Wasn't successful, but still she attempted it. She closed the distance. She was able to close the distance because she had the other girls a guard up here. Get the person's guard up here with the combos, and then you're able to shoot in. Because when you shoot in and the person's expecting the shot, it's easy for them to sprawl. But if they're not expecting the shot and they're expecting punches or whatever, their hips are not going to be fast enough to sprawl against the takedown.
The third way to close it in the distance, or try to close it in the distance, is using feints. If you guys really study Manny Pacquiao's fighting style, he uses a lot of feints. And as you guys know, Manny's also a very short fighter. And if you guys look at some of his fights against bigger opponents, you guys always see that he's always using these feints, and then hopefully he gets a reaction from his opponents, and he takes advantage of that to, come in and throw a punch. In general, man, that's what a feint is supposed to do. Get a reaction from your opponent, and by getting a reaction for your opponent, you could counter off of that, or close in the distance. The sixth way, it doesn't really rely on you. These last fights, you really had to press the opposition. You had to be the one that was closing in the distance. But the sixth way is actually making your opponent overextend. Okay, so what this means is that, okay, well, if you can't really close the distance by yourself, and if your opponent is an aggressive fighter that's always pressing you, okay, so what you guys want to do is always want to be at the end of their punches, and that way when they throw a cross or a hook, just take a little half step back, and then come back with a punch of your own. It's a pretty advanced way to close in the distance.
These are the 6 ways we come up with to close the distance in both MMA and in boxing, and we showed you a few examples, and in the future videos we're going to actually show you the actual how it is physically, and we're going to show you videos of it. So
in the next upcoming videos, we'll actually break it down into detail, all the 5 ways, all the 6 ways to close the distance. So stay tuned for that, and thank you guys.